pretty obvious that the agenda piece is going just off the rails, and now people are hyped for the DoorDasher Borsalino. They're banking on it to high heaven. The agenda never ends. Maybe he gets a 30% tip when he delivers it to you in 1 second.
That's pretty good.
So I don't blame the hustle, but again, there's much better options here. Because it's the holiday season, the next chapters are coming out for a while via the scans. We won't get one until, I believe, the end of January. Officially, we need this chapter because there are certain things that are apparently stated in this chapter that folks were debating when it came to the translation. And of course, I was told about these issues when it came to chapter translations on my stream. So you can check out my live stream reaction to this chapter, where on the Cole Requiem channel, and the entire stream, the post-chapter discussion, which, as per usual, was super spicy, is on my twitch.tv channel for the full stream.
Lovely.
Let's get to this chapter. First of all, the pacing structure. 2 general parts of this chapter. Though to be fair, that second part, I could have broken down into 4 or 5 parts if I really wanted to. However, Kuma's arrival to the island, the cutaways to other countries, folks to other countries reading the paper about what's going on Agate Island, I felt like those parts ultimately could have been in conjunction with the larger Saturn and Bonnie and that whole situation there. So we have 2 general parts for this chapter, which is excellent. When it comes to pace and structure, mwah, that is delicioso. Delicious! Now for the character components for this chapter. Okay, man, first and foremost, let's tackle the big old demon himself, Jay Garcia. Not the good D, this is the very demonic D, because Jay keeps on doing some nasty work. The man is apparently doing extraction of devil powers and putting that stuff into kids, like infants, to see if they could get abilities. And Bonnie is the result of that. That's why she has the age power. It does sound, I'm not gonna lie to you, it does sound very similar in some ways to the lineage factor manipulation of Germa 66, with Sanji and his siblings being the result of that. And I do wonder if this process is similar to how Vegapunk can give inanimate objects, infuse objects with devil fruit power. Vegapunk doesn't say anything about that subject. He talks about the sapphire scale stuff, which of course Jay Garcia upping his villainy, where yes, he was the one through drug manipulation, the things that Walter White do, but not in a fun, cool, badass way, but in a way more sick, twisted. Instead of Walter White doing meth, it's fentanyl. Ooh.
I looked up fentanyl. I said, what you gotta do to die? They said, touch it.
Jay is the reason why Ginny got the sapphire scale and it was contracted over to Bonnie. Jay's not a good dude. Vegapunk reprimands him. How could you? This tore apart his whole family. They're bugs. Even though I'm the spider, they're actual insects.
Happy?
So I don't really give a damn. You're gonna care after Kuma just delivered. I'm gonna soon enough. One good thing I will say that my personal opinion comes out of this is the fact that the power that she has didn't just manifest. The power just didn't find her, ran over to her, and then she somehow ate the fruit randomly, or the soul of the fruit didn't just run inside of her, and then boom, powers, voila. No, think. There's a lot of folks were on that idea of because she wished she was 10 years old, the fruit somehow found a way to her. Of course, I was like, no. Oh, okay, all right.
Correct, sir.
A lot of stuff pertaining to fruits has to be addressed, which is ironic enough because we find out that apparently Bonnie cannot change Saturn's age. Her powers are not working, and I think this involves, more than anything else, his everlasting life. How can you change the age of something that has everlasting life?
No idea.
After this, though, we have Bonnie for character. And for character, Bonnie gets pretty much a nerf. Of course, her powers come from Saturn's experiments, 1. But then 2, she can use a Nika-ish future because of how she perceives a possible future to be. This is what I was also saying for a minute now, because folks wanted the multiverse of Bonnie. Oh, that's right. They wanted some unironic Kang Dynasty activity.
No.
Wrong. Perception is the key. How she perceives a Nika's power to be when she finds out that the Nika's body is rubber and he can fight so freely, she tries to emulate that, and then her body is trying to match her perception of what that future could be. So when someone asks me, do you think that Bonnie's body is literally turning into rubber? I'm gonna say no. There are other ways for folks to expand their bodies in unusual ways. We see that with Katakuri and Mochi. So if you have other people expand their bodies in other ways, why can't Bonnie's ability do that to try and match the future that she's trying to emulate? The keyword here being emulate, that she knows has a rubber body. That's what I always thought, and I think that Saturn also backs up my claim here. But it's also crazy. Her powers essentially get weaker, or she is capped, the more certain her future becomes. So ideally, when she gets older, her future becomes a lot more set in stone. The more life you live, the less time you have, and the more certain you are of what is going to become of you in the future. And then folks say, well, hold on, can you change it up and let's say do the past? But her past already happened. How could you have a distorted past when it already took place? I would guess it's kind of similar to Toki's power, where Toki can't go, as far as we know, she can't go back in time, but she could go forward in time. And then because she's starting to lose more and more faith in the idea of Nika, her Nika-ish future is starting to lose power as a result. Because in the future, along those lines, she no longer believes in Nika so strongly, if at all, and her powers are weak as a result. So character-wise, this chapter had a lot going for damn sure. For Bonnie, for St. J, and then later on, Kuma. Kuma setting up for what appears to be the fatherly impact. Yeah! Come here, mother. I need to see Jay go through a whirlwind of pain. I love it, and it's the first time we're seeing Kuma use hardening. And it's crazy because he's a pacifista, so he has like no will, quote unquote. But it seems like his body is like remembering what to do, and his instincts have kicked in, even though he has no memory, he has no mind. So it brings into question a lot of different things about hockey and pacifista, particularly, let's say in the future, maybe the Seraphim, because right now they have no hockey, zero hockey. But maybe in the future, if they start to gain more freedom, more of their own will, maybe they will get hockey in the future. Who knows? But right now, for Kuma, it's outstanding. It's studly. And maybe it does involve the circuit bypassing thing that Vegapunk mentioned in the last chapter. But right now, we're not too sure. So character this chapter was actually great. Briefly for story, major things happen. Kuma did make a necklace for Bonnie, a sapphire necklace, and notice how it's the same symbol that we see Kuma pray to in the center of that cross, which is also a symbol we've seen before in the past in Alabasta, in Skypiea. It's the Kozuki symbol. I mean, yeah, oh yeah, that's required its own video. But Bonnie has this necklace, and I did try and figure out something during the stream after the chapter reaction. I was trying to figure out, when did Kuma make his move to try and save Bonnie? That was in chapter 1067, and then Bonnie for the first time in the arc meets Vegapunk in chapter 1066. So I'm thinking that maybe Kuma had something installed or put into this necklace, and when Vegapunk, who was kind of that necklace, made contact with Bonnie, this gem would activate in some way, and that would trigger Kuma to move wherever Bonnie was located. It could be all instincts, and it could all be hockey and will. Impossible, but damn! From Kamabaka? From halfway around the world? You doing the Gotenks? And you just gonna come over, my guy? Really? Crazier things in the story, I guess, have happened. So the necklace could be a more plausible reason as to why Kuma is coming their way. And right now, on the ground, Luffy needs food, Sanji and Vegapunk and Frankie and Alice are pinned down still by whatever power he has. I know folks are ragging on Sanji for not being able to move, like, oh, well, Sanji is a scrub. This would never happen to, like, Zoro and Luffy. All I have to mention is Apu, and that's it. Getting caught up in another person's ability happens all the time in One Piece. It's happened before, it's gonna happen now, it's gonna happen in the future. To me, what's way more interesting is the core reasons why they can't move under his powers. And I think this is a cool theory, hear me out, where maybe Saturn, through this unique power, is able to siphon the will of other people. That could be a football field too far, possible, but I do like the idea of just Saturn almost like in a cell suck, but instead of blood or energy, it's free will. He's taking free will away from people so they're locked down and they really can't move. And I did think about this from the opposite side too, where Why is it that the drums of liberation, Luffy's heartbeat, can activate that giant robot that was in the junkyard heat? And maybe it actually involves liberating that robot from its current predicament. Because I'm starting to think about it, theorize that maybe if Luffy's in Gear 5 and Kuma hears Luffy's heartbeat, even though Kuma has lost his personality, what if he could temporarily regain his personality because he hears the drums of liberation? That would be nuts. Luffy's heartbeat could give Kuma his sense of self at least for a period of time again. Though Monkey D. Luffy moving just fine because he checked his phone. Hey yo, is that my Uber Eats? Is that my DoorDash delivery? Woo! Not the front door, right next to me? Oh, that's convenient. That's super convenient. Do you tip for someone invading your privacy in your home to get the food right next to you in arm's reach? Because that's the future. Kizaru, no. I think I gave it on my stream a 2% chance. To me, the obvious most likely case here, Caribou. It's a rinse and repeat of what we saw in Wano Country after Kaido punted Luffy off the island. Caribou hasn't done a single thing just yet, and he obviously wants to escape the island now that it's been surrounded by something even more dangerous than a Buster Call. Caribou once again has to bank on the Straw Hats. And this makes a lot more sense compared to Kizaru teleporting shenanigans when the dude is stun locked, but of course folks saying, well, he was sandbagging. But at the same time, when Kizaru teleports, this guy makes these blinding flashes of light, and we see that almost every time. Oh, but he has the light spectrum, so he can go invisible. So we're just gonna give him random powers now, but actually he has these clones that grab the food for him, but these clones are holograms, so they can't grab actual physical matter. Photon swords, yeah, because they're photons, but not actual physical matter. Well, it's because he's awakening. So he turned the vending machine that can dispense food into a light structure that spat out the food at the speed of light. Like, what? No. I know. I'm so sorry. 2%. Laffy coming in there, or Katarina coming in there stealthily and dropping that food off makes more sense than Kizaru, given his situation, doing all that. The craziest idea is if Luffy just spawned the food. Like his goggles, they just manifested like food, boom, poof.
That is crazy.
Though it's not crazy is waiting for the official translation on what Jay Garcia is talking about when he mentions the Holy Land and Guinea was wife number 8. Because during the stream, people were talking about that a lot and how there was some sort of mistranslation. Apparently in the Spanish version, they flat out say that Jay,
You are the father!
So I absolutely have to wait and see what the Viz say about that. And this does have the potential to be very intriguing here, because this could be wife number 8 for, let's say, some random celestial dragon, or it could be wife number 8 for Jay Garcia Saturn, or it could be for Emu, and maybe the reason why Emu was scouting Vivi. And I also noticed that the number 8 also corresponds to the same number of orbs that we see in the sun symbol used for Bonnie's gem, in the middle of the cross that Kuma prayed to, and we've seen it time and time again. 8 wives, 8 celestial bodies surrounding who? Makes you think.
I think I'm losing my mind.
Kuma is inbound. He is taking all these shots by so many cannons. It's insane. While Bonnie is crying, while Bonnie's starting to lose hope because she's realizing how much of her life was being controlled by Saturn. And it does feel like, in a very similar way, Bonnie is Rebecca, and Daddy Kuma is Kiros. In the nick of time, Diamante, you're mine. Saturn, you're mine. I know folks are dunking on Akainu because Kuma has taken not that much damage as folks thought he would have. This side of his face is still messed up, I would say, from Akainu's assault. Well, I mean, you know, Whitebeard got half his face blown off. Kuma's a buccaneer, bro. Folks theorize that Whitebeard is a buccaneer. That's a theory, though. Whitebeard, at his old age, was taking random bullet wounds and stabs and cannonballs from no-name cats that haven't even stepped from the ring. G-League dudes, G-Leaguers, were getting blocks on Whitebeard. Kuma has a tank-like body, like literally Buccaneer base, but souped up with tech. Oh, but Zoro slash. What did Kuma do after Zoro cut him in Thriller Bark? Does Kuma have better durability than someone like Whitebeard? Yes, of course. It's built in his DNA. obviously. And Saturn is gonna find out the hard way. That doesn't mean he feels no pain. Bro, that fatherly impact, yo. Oh, I can't wait, bro. A 9 out of 10. Might be higher depending on the Viz translation. On that note, let me know your stance on the subject matter at hand. Make sure to give the video a thumbs up. Of course, subscribe to the channel. Click on that bell to join the notification squad. Salutes to 2023. Cheers to a happy 2024. I'm gonna see you guys on the flip side. Bye bye.